Hello and welcome. This episode of the Sales Chat Show is brought to you by the Academy for Chief Executives. We hope you enjoy and benefit from this episode. Hello folks, welcome to the Sales Chat Show, saleschatshow.com, driving your sales forward. I'm here once again with my colleagues, Mr. Graham Jones and Mr. Phil Jessen, but today a very special edition of the Sales Chat Show. We have a special guest with us. We have Ian Price, who is the Chief Executive of the Academy for Chief Executives. And the topic today is Brexit. So Ian's here because we'd like to explore the implications of Brexit for SME businesses. So Ian, from your perspective, obviously a lot of your members will have spoken to you about this and just been discussing and Brexit with you. From your perspective?
Hello, welcome. From my point of view, I think there's two important things. One, yes, that Brexit has created a certain air of uncertainty, but I think it's also created an air of opportunity.
Okay.
And so I think many businesses recognise that there are certain risks associated with the current uncertainty and certain risks for change, but also that there is a great opportunity that's out there as a result of either the uncertainty or the fact that we may actually be in a very different world once we are out of the European Union.
And my sense is that the uncertainty thing seems to be kind of dominating people's minds more perhaps than the potential opportunity Brexit faces. Is that your take from the SME business leaders you've been speaking with?
Well, it's interesting. There are certainly some businesses within the Academy that have suffered since June of last year. They have either not been able to close out contracts that were looking to get put into place, or in fact have lost business because people have said, well, you know, if you're not going to be part of the European Union in the future, or because of that uncertainty again, they've chosen to step away. And that has had a detrimental impact on certain businesses, their revenue and their income. That having been said, right now there's a lot of Academy members who businesses are thriving, and I think that's more than anything else because the underlying economic cycle is in a great place right now. When I talk to members, particularly those associated with the construction sector, they are absolutely booming.
Yes.
Their bigger challenge right now is less Brexit associated. It's the long-term challenge of getting the right talent for their businesses. So I think that there are some businesses that are doing well right now who are Academy members, and some that are facing that uncertainty and risk.
Just going back to 2007/8, the big crash, if you want to call it that, a lot of companies at that time were uncertain about the future and probably slowed down and pressed the pause button and waited for it to blow over. Do you see that happening within your Academy community?
I think that's happening with certain businesses, yes, Phil. That there are those who, particularly where they're associated with long-term contracts, that they are at the moment saying, well, let's just wait and see. So I certainly think that there is some of that that's going on. And I think that there are some businesses that have had a detrimental impact because the cost of their raw materials, for example, has gone up, because one of the big tangible impacts since June of last year has been the value of the pound against other currencies. And so they have suffered from the impact of having more expensive raw materials or import costs just being more expensive. And that there has made people pause for thought.
So if I was a recent Academy member, having just joined, how would the Academy be helping me and my business right now?
Well, I think the Academy plays a really important role, if nothing else, in reassurance. Is that as a small or medium-sized business leader, it can be lonely at the top, and it might well be that you are looking for some answers, you're looking for some reassurance, and the Academy potentially provides that, because you are meeting with a like-minded group of peers who can potentially share their experience, share their concerns. but equally well look at some opportunities and say, you know, have we as a business leaders explored all of the opportunities that might be presenting themselves right now?
Okay. In terms of some specific kind of actions or things you would maybe give as guidance to the people listening?
Well, I think that the first thing for me is almost kind of rule one for any business, which is, you know, have that plan. Know and understand what your business is good at. Know and understand what your business needs to be doing, and continue to execute that really, really well. You know, one of our speakers talks about you need to be world class in at least one or two areas, whether that be customer intimacy or operational excellence or innovation. You need to be world class in at least one of those and an exceptional performer in one of the others. So, you know, whatever your industry happens to be, that you need to carry on delivering what that business is good at. Almost regardless of the circumstances, and not necessarily be driven off course by somewhat intangible uncertainty and just fear of the future.
I think that's a really important point, actually, about, you know, sticking to your metal, as it were, and doing what's really good. But I also think that works against the whole concept of uncertainty, because if you are uncertain about anything, you're going to worry about whether or not I should stick to things. The whole thing about a good chief executive is that they don't believe in uncertainty, because the one certainty about Brexit is that things will change. Mm-hmm. So we know that whatever is going to happen, whether we have hard Brexit or soft Brexit or, you know, half-cooked Brexit or whatever other phrases there are, we know there's going to be change. Well, every business leader knows there's change because they plan for that normally. So this isn't unusual at all. This is just normal. This is just perfectly, it's just another thing that's coming along to make you focus on what's really good for your business. So if you're in a group of chief executives who are all worried about Brexit, they're focusing on the wrong thing. They should be focusing on doing what they do well and focusing on the certainty that their business world is going to change. But it always has done. Before Brexit, before 2008, business always changed, and a good chief executive plans for change because they're certain change will happen.
I think that's true, and I think what the Academy does is encourage that, you know, agile mindset that makes you capable of responding and resilient towards that kind of response. But one of the other important parts is accountability. So if you've got a great plan and you're executing well, then it's really helpful to have a group of like-minded people around you who's going to hold your feet to the fire and keep that plan and keep your course through that. Yes, small course changes may be to respond to very small circumstances in an agile way, but actually it's the accountability piece that people really value from being an Academy member, which is really, really important in the times of uncertainty. So I think in that respect, I think you're right.
Because there's always been change and there always will be change. Yeah. But definitely one of the things you can always do as a business leader is to make sure your business is as efficient and effective and profitable as it possibly can be in the current reality, because that is then going to put you in the best possible place to deal with whatever this new reality is going to be. And I think you have to be absolutely honest. There's a lot of people making predictions about what's going to happen based upon no previous experience, because we've never experienced anything like this before. So, you know, I think we can maybe scenario plan. You can maybe sit down with your team and think, in your Academy group, and think of 3 or 4 possible scenarios that might occur and what you may do if those present themselves. But again, we are attempting to predict
But I
the
think
future.
that could be very important. I mean, arguably 10 years ago, successful organisations were those with a very good plan. I think today, stroke the future, is going to be more about the speed at which companies can move to plan B, plan C, plan D very, very quickly as this uncertain future unravels. If they are stunned and traumatised by what they see and delay it, that could be very costly. So I think scenario planning in that level of detail is very much a thing that needs to happen today.
But the whole psychology of uncertainty is that when we're uncertain about things, we withdraw. And so if we focus on uncertainty as businesses, we withdraw. And that provides people the opportunity for, you know, companies in China to go, my goodness, there's change coming in Europe. We can take advantage of that change. And meanwhile, we have withdrawn and because we're uncertain. The psychology of uncertainty means we kind of want to protect ourselves and we withdraw and we don't want to approach anything that's a bit of a problem. So if we focus on the opportunity that you're talking about, we're then going to cope with that change, and we're not going to have whatever else is going to happen in the world as a result of this uncertainty taking over our business. We've got to look.
So from a packaging point of view, I think that's a very interesting point. So maybe chief executives should refer to opportunity scenarios as opposed to what you're talking about, which is being traumatised by.
Yeah, don't be traumatised. There's opportunity here. Change is inevitable. Just get on and use it.
I think a really important part of what we do at the Academy is talk about resilience. And it's that ability to be able to respond to change and not, yes, as you say, be traumatised, because you know change is coming. It's your ability to be able to respond to that successfully, holistically. And therefore that's important for you to know and understand how you are going to respond effectively to change, and be able to exploit opportunities as they arise. And I think the opportunity piece is really the important part to focus on for future within Brexit.
And you mentioned agile. The one advantage SME businesses have is their ability to move faster than some of the big corporations out there, just by sheer economies of scale and number of warm bodies that are kind of on board. So, you know, in terms of taking advantage of opportunities, the SME sector is positioned probably better than some of the big large corporates, that it's going to go up several layers of management and be discussed for extended periods of time before anybody takes any action.
It's interesting, isn't it, that a common word that's been used umpteen times in the last 10 minutes is opportunity, as opposed to problem.
And I think, you know, you have to take a look at that. That is not about some naive sticking your head in the sand and pretending there aren't going to be challenges along the way. But that's what successful business leaders have always done, is take advantage of opportunities, rise to challenges, and alter their businesses accordingly. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
From the sound of it, Ian's suggesting that if I was a prospect, now's a good time to join the Academy then, Ian, rather than join in a couple of years' time after it's all blown over. Would you say that's a good thing for me to be doing?
I think that's true, Phil. I think the opportunity to join the Academy now means that you're going to start thinking about where your business is at in the next 3 to 5 years. That clearly has to take account of what may or may not come down the pipe with Brexit, but having a like-minded group of people around you to support would certainly help that future planning.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. It's been Simon Hazeldine, Graham Jones, Phil Jesson, and our special guest star, Ian Price from the Academy for Chief Executives. This episode of the SalesChatShow.com. Thank you very much for listening. You have been listening to an episode of the Sales Chat Show. To stream or download a host of further free episodes that will power your sales success, please visit SalesChatShow.com. Thank you very much for listening to this episode, and from everyone here at the Sales Chat Show, we'd like to wish you good luck and good selling.